Hello, this is Kelly Acheson coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin. Today I am playing with the Thoughtful Branches stamp set and the beautiful branches, thinlits again. I just can't seem to get enough of these. This bundle is going to be available starting August 2nd, which is coming really soon. And it'll only be available for the month of August. So I've been having a blast with it. I saw a little box with a similar technique on it online, and I decided that I wasn't sure how it was made. There weren't any instructions, and I wanted to figure it out. So I thought I might as well share it with you because I thought it was a very unique look. So what I've got there is I've got a window sheet. I hope you can see this. Inside of here in a punched hole, and then I used the flower or leaf die and stamp set to make a very unique look. I thought it was really pretty. So we're also going to do some marker flicking on here, and the inside I've also used the In Color Designer Series paper, little strips here, as well as in the background here. So let's get started and I'll show you how to do this. We're going to start off with a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this is 5 by 3 3/4. One of the techniques that I used on this was the marker flicking. And I'm sure you've probably seen me do this before if you've watched my videos. But I'm going to use Pool Party, and I'm going to just flick it onto my background. You're going to hold your marker inside the edge of your lid and just flick it. And just move your marker around and flick as much as you want. This doesn't hurt your markers. And when you get done doing that, you're going to have a little pool of marker juice, I call it, in there. And I'm just gonna wipe that out with a tissue. Now what this does is it tones down your background a little bit. Tones it down, it adds a little bit of interest. Now we're going to take one of the layering circle framelits, and we are going to cut a circle out of this layer. It's about 2.5 inches wide. Okay, once you have that done, you'll notice that I kind of offset my circle a little bit over to the right here and about 1/2 inch from the top, or a little bit less. I've also got a layer of Whisper White cardstock that's 3.5 by 3.5 and a window sheet that's cut 3.5 by 3.5. I'm going to bring in my Pool Party ink and a sponge, and I'm just going to add some color to the 3.5 by 3.5 inch Whisper White layer. And I thought about this. I thought, well, why don't you just use Pool Party cardstock? Well, that was a little bit darker than I wanted, and I wanted this to be a little wispy. So this is what we have. Now I'm going to bring in my Flirty Flamingo ink and the leaves for the tree, or the flowers for the hydrangea. You can call it whatever you want. It's beautiful. I'm just going to stamp this on a scrap, and we're going to die cut it with the die. And you can see there's a little divot in here and a little arrow here, and that matches what's happening with your stamp. A little arrow, kind of an extra tag of rubber here, and a little divot. So that helps you line this up easily, and this really is easy to line up. People have been asking questions on some of the projects that I've made with this, saying, oh my gosh, that flower is beautiful, it looks complicated. That's all it is. Stamp it and die cut it. I'll be right back. You do want to run this through your Big Shot a couple times, so back and forth. And then I've got the Big Shot die brush here. This thing is wonderful. And I did use the magnetic platform and the precision cutting plate. Those two items do make a huge difference when you're using these intricate dies. And you'll notice that all these little pieces just kind of fall right out. It's like heaven. Now you're going to cut 2 of these. You're going to stamp and die cut 2 of these in the Flirty Flamingo. And then what I did is I took this one and I put the same circle framelit over it, and I lined it up So it's about a 1/2 inch in, and I'm going to die cut that so that I just have an outside area here on one of these layers. So then this is what you end up with. And the reason why I did that is to keep my circle the same as the circle on my white layer here. Then you're going to take your snips and you're just going to go in and snip off these extra flowers. And I'm just kind of going and trimming them off the way they would be if they were die cut right here on this edge. And this is really simple. See what I'm doing here? I'm just leaving a little bit of flower on there. So you get the idea of what I'm doing here? Now you can take a look at this, and I see that I have some that are rather choppy. So I'm just going to trim them a little bit so they look a little more natural. I'm kind of using the stamped images as my guide here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. That's going to go on your card right here. Okay? Now the other piece that we cut off of there with the framelit, we're going to again just trim some of these flowers around that divot that's in our die right here. So do the same thing to that. And you're going to end up with something that looks like this. And that's the part that comes from the die right there. That's where our stem is going to go. I'm going to bring back in this piece that we sponged, and we are going to put the solid image that we didn't cut. We're going to glue that right onto this 3.5 by 3.5 inch piece. I'm just going to place some glue around. You don't have to get crazy with it. It's not going to hold anything up, and it's not going to go anyplace. Notice now I've got this kind of tilted to the side. This would be straight, this is to the side. Then we're going to come in here and put our window sheet over top of this layer. We're going to do that with 4 little glue dots. Okay. Now let's see how this is looking here. Okay. Now I want to have some room for my stem, so I'm going to pull this down just a little bit here so I have a little free space down here. And you'll notice that this is sticking out over here. We need to trim that. It's better to have it too big to start with than too small. So I'm going to come right down in here, trim that off, and I'm just going to trim a little bit off the top too because we're not going to see that. And we're going to do a little dry fit here, and that looks really good. Now, take the piece that you did the marker flicking on and turn it over to the back, and we're going to put some dimensionals. I'm going to put 4 dimensionals right around our circle. And now I'm going to just place this right over top my flower. So it looks just like this. And you may need to trim a little more off the edge there if it's sticking out. That's fine, it's not a big deal. Then I took the leaf die from the beautiful branches. I die cut a tip-top taupe and a pear pizzazz. And we're going to use the stem from the tip-top taupe. So we're just cutting the leaves off here. You can use those for something else later. And we're going to use the leaves from the pear pizzazz here. And again, that just gives it extra interest too. So we're ready to put those on. Here's a handy little tip I learned while I was watching some stamping videos. Getting your mini glue dots off of there, off of the roll, is really easy when you use your bone folder. So I'm going to put a mini glue dot right on my stem here. And a little bit of glue on the stem itself. This is going to come right into that blank. Now I'm going to put a couple more glue dots because I find that glue dots stick better to the window sheets than any other type of adhesive. So I'm just going to put a couple of those on this little piece that we cut out from our scrap. And you only need like 2, works fine. And I'm going to set those right on top of that stem. Okay, so do you see the interest you're adding there by having them under the window sheet and on top of the window sheet? And I'm just going to use glue around the outside of this piece that we cut out earlier. And we're going to place that right on top so that it's kind of half on our white cardstock and half in the window sheet. Isn't that cool? I just thought that was the neatest look. And then we have our couple leaves that we're going to put on here. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the leaves. Don't get crazy with it. We don't want it oozing out all over the place. That's icky. And those fit right in there perfectly. I like the 2 different colors because oftentimes on your bigger types of plants, like a hydrangea, your stems are wooden looking and your leaves are green. We're going to take the For You from the Thoughtful Branches and we're going to stamp that right down here. And then I've got some of the Flirty Flamingo ruched ribbon. Oh, this is beautiful, and it just adds class to your projects. I think it's really gorgeous. Just tie that in a loose knot and put that right on my stem right here. Once I was this far with my card, I decided I need a little bling, and that's when I broke out my diamonds. You know what? When in doubt, put some diamonds on. They are gorgeous. They just add so much. Again, it's those little tiny things that take your cards to the wow factor. Did I tell you this piece is 3 3/4 by 5? Now I'm bringing it in. We're going to put it on the Tip Top Taupe Designer Series paper. This is one of the in color paper stacks, and I'm using the striped edge. This is 5 1/8 by 4 1/8. So we're going to have a really thin margin on our card base. I'm going to flip this over and we're going to add some more dimensionals, but not to the back of the piece that has our flower under it because we don't want it sticking up all weird. Just to the layer that isn't already raised here, if that makes sense. Take the backs off your dimensionals and add some glue to just this 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 inch panel. I decided and noticed that this is very popular right now. You'll see a lot of cards with this kind of tilted look. That's what's hot right now, and I really like it. Then I've got a piece of Flirty Flamingo that is 11 inches by 4 1/4. And we are going to glue this entire layer onto our card base. Remember I said we had a really thin margin here. Isn't that pretty? I love it, love it. Last but not least is the inside. I stamped here In My Thoughts, and then I used a 1/4 inch piece of the Designer Series paper here, and I meant a 1/4 inch here, but it got a little bigger, and I thought that looks fine. So it's probably 3/8 of an inch, but I meant to do a 1/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom. That's what I did in my original. Now we're just going to glue this on the inside. This inside layer is 4 by 5 1/4. And voila, you have a gorgeous card. Make sure you check my blog or my Pinterest account. I've got several other cards using this Thoughtful Branches stamp set and matching thinlits. Make sure you get these as soon as they become available on August 2nd. You can hop on over to my blog and make some of these fabulous cards and ideas that I've shared with you. Add a little sparkle to somebody's day. Send them a card.